the Sports Betting Network.
Follow the money. That's what I always say. You always follow the money. Yeah.
This is Follow the Money with Mitch Moss and Pauly Howard on VSiN.
Here we go. Welcome in. It is Follow the Money on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network. Mitch Moss along with Pauly Howard. We're live in downtown Las Vegas from the Circa Resort and Casino. Big program lined up today. The great Iron Eagle on the show in 30 minutes, calling the Final Four. He was on, obviously, a bunch of the games over the weekend and in the tournament thus far. We'll ask him who has the best A game of the four teams remaining. Mike Palm on the program, his thoughts on the Final Four. Women's handle, now that Caitlin Clark is no longer at Iowa. What was it like this year compared to last year? You could not be serious. And Matt Humans with best bets for tonight and this weekend. We'll begin a little Major League Baseball. How about this? There is a player right now still playing in the game that has 3 home runs today. Most people probably never heard of him, and he's a catcher. Ivan Herrera for the Cardinals just hit a 3rd home run on the day. He has 6 RBIs to go along with it, and the Cardinals, with 9 runs in the last 2 innings, they lead the Angels 12-5. That was 5-3 Angels going to the bottom of the 7th after they hit a grand slam in the top half of that inning.
Yeah. Better than I thought. They're actually playing good ball. Trout finally goes deep, but all for naught as they're going to lose. And the big comeback with the Cardinals, Arenado continues to hit, and they're going to get the big win here and cover the run line with the explosion in the bottom of the 8th, as you mentioned as well.
That's so, to begin the season now, Aaron Judge did that on Saturday against the Brewers, and now we have the second player in baseball already to hit at least 3 home runs in a game.
Yeah, right.
And that number, that prop is always up, right?
Yes,
Will
right.
one player hit 4 home runs in a game this year?
Yeah. It was only 8-1, but it's rarely happened going back and looking at it. That's right. It also goes back to complete game shutouts. We already had one, which you think was the Matt Vasgersian prop. Matt, total complete game shutouts against Silverware and Human's House.
Yeah.
What would it be? And we've already had one, and what Evaldi did. So it's been a fun start to the season. What the Padres are doing, what the Dodgers are doing, what the Yankees are doing. They finally lost, but the home runs continue, and a lot of teams scuffling right now offensively. Historic starts for what some of these teams are doing, good and bad.
So do more players and teams need to adopt the torpedo bat? Is that what we're talking about? Or was it a fluke along the line of the first weekend, actually, and what Ellie De La Cruz did in his first game for the Reds earlier this week? By the way, you brought up the Rangers. Have to mention this.
Mm-hmm.
Sarah Langs is a great follow on X for a lot of information tidbits you probably never guess would have ever happened in the sport before. Anyway, what they did today was only the 3rd time in history that some team pulled this off, and that was a team to win 3 straight 1-0 games. 2 teams have done that, actually. Cardinals and the White Sox. The Rangers did it back-to-back, first time in franchise history. So if they do it one more time, they will match the 1917 Cardinals and the 1909 White Sox. But can you believe that it's actually happened 3 times in a row?
No, and what?
Or, I'm sorry, two times overall.
Yeah, and you get the home run from Langford while we get off the air yesterday, and it holds up with what Evaldi did. So bad, wrong end breakdown, but it got there with the winner and what the start that they're off to. So that has been incredible as well, much like what's going on around the league with some of these other teams. I can't get over the Braves. I mean, they cannot score. And you get that good performance from Sale, and you waste that, and you only score 1 run, and the Dodgers do it again. And again, a team has never made the playoffs when they start 0-7. They're huge dogs today as they go against Snell.
That's right. And the Dodgers opened up 250. They did touch 260 at least one book. Actually, some other books bet the Braves today, and they moved it down a little bit to like 235. I will say this, the Braves overall, to begin the season, they are batting 137 as a team. Did you see this?
I did.
The last Braves team to bat lower than that over any 6-game span, the 1942 Boston Braves. Over any 6-game span in the history of the Braves organization, regardless of the city.
How about 1 for 34 runners in scoring position on the year?
Yeah, that doesn't help.
Oh, it's bad.
Very much, huh? You're betting their team total under every game. You're halfway to retirement at this point.
Yeah.
Now, does that continue tonight with Snell on the mound?
Yeah, that's 6 runs in the last 6 games. It's a joke. So
it's horrible.
Yeah, Dodger run line minus 130 because I think they'll get something done offensively, and the Braves can't muster anything offensively. That was their chance yesterday. You had Sale going against May. May hadn't started in 684 days.
He was awesome.
He was good again, right? He was solid. And that's everyone who goes against this Atlanta team. So right back with the Dodgers, and then they get the day off, and then we get ready for Philadelphia for a 3-game set. But $2.50 too cheap, and $1.30 on the run line too cheap as well. Get back these numbers, man. Back these trends. Padres, Dodgers, Braves can't hit, and overs in the launching pad with Sacramento. That went over in the third inning yesterday?
Yeah, and that was Severino and Steele again.
Right, and you came right back today with the over. It's 4-0 Cubs in the second. I love Springs.
They just hit a home run. I did not see who it was, but I know the Cubs just hit a home run. Springs, yeah, he was really, again, he has been riddled with injuries. He was really, really good. I think it was 2022 with the Rays, had just phenomenal metrics.
Yep.
And Ks per 9 and all that. Then this year in his first start against the Mariners up in Seattle, struck out 9, was really, really good. But today in this day game here, I took a little bit on 8.5 over because, again, I do like Springs as well.
11.5 now. Yep, Suzuki went deep. It wasn't Tucker, who's done it 4 games in a row. It was Suzuki.
And Tucker came up to the plate, I think it was in the first, with 2 runners on, and they showed a graphic on the screen. And I think he has belted 21 home runs in the last 2 years when he played for the Astros against the A's, most by any player in Major League Baseball. So he has kind of owned this team. A's with a little bit of a different staff and rotation entering this year, but regardless, the numbers look really, really good. And, yeah, that so far, I mean, we talked about this yesterday. 8 felt like it was going to be too low. That number could change. So if this is another winner today and it goes over by a couple of runs, Paul, does it change? I mean, are the 8s and the 8.5s are going to have to be, right?
It's like the Crown basketball tournament. You got to put the totals high enough. And, the 9 and 10-point moves in all these games, and now they put up 155s for the games today, and it didn't move. But you have to keep going overs, and it isn't high enough. You're right. And also, how high do you make the juice with some of these games as well? Should Cease really be $1.85? Well, I think he should. I'm not in love with Cease, but if he only goes 5 innings, that's good, because the bullpen has only allowed 1 run in 24 innings.
Been fantastic.
And they've only allowed 9 runs on the season as a team, and plus 22 run differential, 3 shutouts in the first 6 games. Only the 1940 Dodgers and the 1980 Reds did that, and Cleveland can't hit either. They're hitting $160 with runners in scoring position. So everything working out for the Padres and how great the bullpen's been. This is nuts. And I know something you asked before the season. I have to flip it. You said about the Seattle offense. Are they going to do something with this offense this year? Can they break out of it? Well, the comeback could have been, what if the pitching gets worse? Because last year they led the franchise history in quality starts and missed the playoffs because the offense was so bad. Well, now they're having problems with the starting pitching. Castillo off to a slow start, and I think Skubal and the Tigers have to be favored on the road today coming up in 5 minutes.
I'm going to assume that the Mariners offense probably won't get much off Skubal at all in this game.
Hitting 166.
Sure, why would I think otherwise?
No, lost 7 of their last 8 against Detroit as well, and it's a big one for Skubal.
And, Pauly, that's not just again, to begin this season for those people who are maybe new to the audience here on the show, hey, I want to start betting sports, and maybe I'll bet baseball a little bit, but I haven't really paid attention to baseball because I'm a football guy, whatever it is. Yeah, the Mariners, this is a thing now going back the last couple of years with the offense. Last year was historically putrid for that team. Mm-hmm. And to go along with those numbers that you just talked about, they led the league in ERA, and they also had the worst batting average in the entire league, first time that's ever happened, basically, and they missed the playoffs like that.
And forget about it against lefties. And guess what Springs did against them?
Sure, and you're right, because we just, the whole narrative was, well, what if the offense gets better? The pitching's going to be there. Yeah. Well, how about the other side? What if the hitting actually doesn't get better, and then the regression actually comes back from the pitching staff, as you pointed out? So I have no reason to believe that I should make a wager on Seattle and their sticks to get it going today against that guy, although they did take a little bit of money. And I'll tell you this, too. Trendy teams that are taking money almost every single day. You mentioned the Padres. Winning will do that, obviously. There's a 20-cent move there. Ho-hum, another move today on the Mets as they take on the Marlins. That's as high as, a 35-cent move. No surprise, Holmes takes on Gillespie. That's probably a combination of both here. Off-season hype machine for the Mets, but also the Marlins expected to be one of the worst teams in baseball. And the same thing applies here. The Rockies, although their pitching has been tremendous so far, not a lot is expected there. One of the worst 3 teams in baseball on paper. They're playing at Philly and Wheeler. This is not a day game. It's 6:40 p.m. Eastern time. And Freeland's he's a competent starting pitcher in baseball. Wheeler opened up 315. We're talking about here. A 45-cent move on the Phillies to get it pushing up to like $4 today, close to it.
Yeah, they beat him 11-12. And he's 3-0 with a 1.93 against them going back as well. So, yeah, that's a funny thing about baseball. The White Sox and Rockies starting pitching's been great.
Yeah.
And no one had that.
Castellanos in his career against Freeland, 4 for 14. A lot of this is going to be a very small sample size. That's a 286 batting average with 3 home runs. And here's something that I noted for today, because I noticed the Pirates keep stealing bases, and O'Neal Cruz had another one today. He's up to 6, and he hit a home run.
This is good. There's a lot of teams running. Some aren't running though at all.
And this comes into like player props on a daily basis, whatever. The Pittsburgh Pirates entering today's action had 17 stolen bases. That to me feels like an extremely high number. And I'm talking about not just this year compared to other teams. I'm talking about like going back. The Padres have 13, Red Sox 9, Cubs and Rays 7. Teams that are not running. Astros, A's, Guardians, a grand total of 0 stolen bases entering today's play. Phillies and Yankees, 1 stolen base each. That's it. So very early here, but maybe that's something to pick up on teams that are more willing to run and other teams that are like, nah, we don't have the guys and we don't want to do it anyway.
Mm-hmm. How about an 8 in Yankee Stadium? 18 home runs in 4 games, and you put up an 8? Now it was 4-2 in the 8th, and the bullpen blew it. But as bad as Gallen was in his first start, and do you trust Rodon?
It's also Gallen on the road.
Yeah.
And Diamondbacks offense really, really good too. No, I'd have to go.
Like the over in the Yankee game, yes.
Yep. We'll get into the NBA up next. I think it's the final nail in the coffin as the last straw poll came out. Any hope for the Joker? Oh, boy. Not looking great.
Time. There's nothing more valuable. It's what drives everyone to make the most of every moment. We celebrate living large in the now. In a city where time disappears, we create experiences that electrify the soul and memories that will last forever. We go big, we go all night, and here, everyone is invited. So get loose and get loud.
This is Circa. You'll have the time of your life.
So, Pauly, have you had a chance to read the VSiN Daily yet?
Yeah. Came in at 3 a.m. What's Bill doing up that late?
Well, rumor has it starts off with a 12-hour meditation session.
Then he just pours himself over film and live TV, really focusing and taking it all in. Bill's in with the biggest insiders, talking trade secrets, strategies, the whole 9, absorbing the info.
And then and only then can the writing process begin.
In Las Vegas, Bill's late night becomes your early morning. Wake up to the very latest betting insights in your inbox with the VSiN Daily. Sign up for free at vsin.com/newsletter.
On the next Money Moves, Grace Remington joins me, Stormy Bonantoni, as we break down a huge betting slate across the NHL, MLB, and the NBA. Justin Perry jumps on the show to help us preview the men's Final Four and which top seed will prevail in San Antonio. Plus, we're off to the races with Jeremy Plunk of First Bet. He's going to stop by to help us preview a busy weekend of Kentucky Derby prep races across the country. It's all happening starting at noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific, right here on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
This is Follow the Money on VSiN.
So this is great. Doing live shows, bunch of games going on in baseball. We will keep you abreast of the scores and the updated live wagering numbers throughout the show today. Other games just starting as we speak. The NBA, again, down to less than 2 weeks here. And we saw something last night that, technically we've seen 3 times before in history. But if you really want to go beyond that, it was the first time ever because Joker became the 3rd player ever to have a 60-point triple-double, but the 1st player ever to have a 61-point triple-double. And they lost the game because your favorite player of all time completely lost his mind.
Yes, he did. That's Westbrook for you.
What on earth was that in the final 7 seconds?
Steals the ball, up 1, tries to lay it in, blows the layup. Why? Right?
You could just try to run around on that court.
That's Westbrook, though.
This is
Stat guy.
Yeah, here's what I want to see more teams do.
Yeah.
Try right when there's 5-6 seconds left. Run to the other side. The guy on defense was going to go back to the hoop, so it was a quick pass over to I think it was Brown, then back to Westbrook. How about you run to the right coffin corner and then throw the ball up in the air as far as you can possibly throw it, as long as it stays in bounds? The game's going to die. That's going to take 3 or 4 seconds to come all the way down. The opposing team can do nothing with the game's over with.
Yep.
Why?
Yep. It was one of the best games I've ever seen in terms of regular season and what happened in the overtimes and the shot-making and play-making ability. What happened with Ant, what happened with Joker. You're right, with history. It's the first time someone had a 50-point triple-double and lost, and it's the second most points in Denver history. Thompson had 73 in the late 70s. But, hey, Gobert, hello. Remember, Naz Reid didn't play. And Joker goes for 60. I mean, God, that was criminal that he got Defensive Player of the Year. In any event, a game Minnesota had to have. Again, they own them, and they beat them, I think, 7 in a row now. And Westbrook misses the layup and then makes matters worse. He fouls at the buzzer, shooting a 3. I don't know about the call, but still he fouled them, and then they made the free throws, missed the last one on purpose. And Minnesota wins a wild one, a crazy game, 140 to 139. And now Denver has a back-to-back, and the whole team is questionable.
Yeah. Why would they play tonight? Basically, 6 guys played for both teams. And some of those guys were playing 50-plus minutes.
Yes.
A lot of them were playing 45-plus minutes last night. So Tim Bontemps at ESPN, he does the straw poll for the MVP every single year. And he does it, 3 or 4 times throughout the entire year? The final straw poll is coming out today. And he talked about it on his podcast with Brian Windhorst. I think he's been on ESPN today talking about it as well. SGA, keep this in mind, he had 70 first-place votes in February, the last straw poll. Joker had 30. He had all but 1 second-place vote. This last straw poll that's coming out right now, SGA actually moved up to 77 first-place votes, 23 second-place votes, and Joker had 23 first-place votes and 77 second-place votes. So not another player in the entire league will get a second-place vote. Forget first. And both those two, but he widened his lead. Now that has to be because Joker missed a couple of games in here, right?
Yeah, and then they also did the podcast in the poll before the game was played too. Not that he would get a huge bump from what he did, although it was historic what he did. But the comeback is the Thunder can get to 70 wins. So it's what SGA has done, going for 50 in all these games, and they might win 69, 70 games too. So minus 2,000 at DraftKings.
That's what?
MVP.
Oh, he was minus 8,000 at some spots last night.
Yeah, well, there was movement based on what Joker did, and then the Bontemps thing came out. But then the timing was when they recorded the podcast, and when he talked about the straw poll, the Joker performance hadn't happened.
Okay, I got you. So what's the best number you've seen on Joker? 10-1?
Yeah, in that 9-10 to 1. Yeah.
I don't think last night's performance is going to be enough to sway voters.
No, not enough time. Those games that he missed. But
that's
still,
right.
The comeback is they could win 70, and SGA's had plenty of games with 50.
And the straw poll again has been very predictable. What's going to happen here?
And I don't agree with this, but people keep saying it. This guy has won 3. The other guy hasn't won 1.
That's dumb.
So if it's close, they're going to give it to SGA. Yep. Okay.
Now I will say this, and I caught Bill Simmons' podcast this week as well. He basically said the season and what we're watching with SGA, he's kind of turning into Michael Jordan. He said this year as a guard is, you look at all the numbers, you watch the games, it's one of the best years a guard has ever had. And SGA, look, I mean, more people are making the case for Dort to be Defensive Player of the Year, which would be great. I actually think SGA has an unbelievable case for Defensive Player of the Year, but he's not going to get it. Evidently, they're just going to shy away from that angle, but he makes an impact every single night on defense, and he is basically unstoppable on offense. He called him Michael Jordan on his podcast. And when you look at all the numbers and what he does the entire game every night, he's having one of those kind of years. And if they win 70 games, it sounds weird, but Joker is having the best year he's ever had, and he's not going to win the award. But that, I mean, SGA, it's not like he doesn't deserve it, right?
You want to split it? I don't have a problem with that either. Co-MVPs.
So
they're that good.
In that game last night, one of those two, right? Top two teams in the West? Or do you still want to shove the Lakers in there or maybe give it to the Clippers?
Whoa, Clippers, wow. Well, it all comes down to the matchups, though, too.
It does.
And Minnesota owns Denver. So it depends on who you're going to play in the first round, but that's a tough question about who the second-best team is. You still got the Lakers with that firepower that they have. Maybe the defensive numbers were a fluke. Teams were missing from three. But still, Denver can't get stops, and how much depth do they have? Because once you keep going past the first round, you're playing every other night.
Yeah, I think
and they don't have depth. And you can't trust Westbrook either. He's been horrendous in the playoffs going back and what he did last year for the Clippers as well.
I say this all the time because I grew up in Milwaukee. It sucks that the Bucks organization, they are wasting Giannis Antetokounmpo's prime. The same thing is true for Joker. They're wasting this guy's prime.
That's fair.
Right?
Yep.
I mean, they had a chance, I think, to put together something that would have been truly special after they won the title a couple years ago, and they have whiffed on. Where's the team beyond the starting five? Where's the help, as you just said?
I know. Kroenke's got how much money? And then
terrible job at roster construction.
Couldn't get and Caldwell Pope went to Orlando. You didn't mention Golden State. No one. How about getting lost? What happened with Joker? Curry had a 52-point game.
Yeah, they might be the second best team.
You might get Lakers Warriors in the first round.
Right. Well, with Curry, anything is. You could tell me anything about this guy, and I'll buy it. You could tell me that he's going to average 46 a game in the first round of the playoffs and carry them to a 7-game series victory over the Lakers. I'll buy that because he's that good.
Yeah. But that's another reason why we talked about yesterday getting the threes big. Because you got to avoid Golden State, and then you could draw Houston in the second round if that's the matchup. Although Houston would have to get past Minnesota. And the Clippers, they're playing well, but then you know what Harden's done in his career in the postseason as well. You also, the good news here too, with what's going on with Dort, because on the same podcast, Bill Simmons says, and he has a vote, Dort's the best defensive player in the league, and I watched him shut down Jaylen Brown. I couldn't believe what I was watching. And Brian Windhorst also said the same thing. He has a vote.
Yeah.
He's now down as low as 8-1. You can find 11. He was 20. And when Edlow came in from DraftKings, he talked about it as well, that the 20 and 25 was still out there. I think this can happen with Dort.
So can I. So do I, actually. I think it's they have the Lakers this weekend. If he shuts down...
Twice.
Yeah, if he shuts down Reeves and or Luka... whatever, and we have so many switches, obviously, in basketball, but if those guys struggle, he might turn into 3-1.
Yeah, these numbers don't lie. It's when you matched up, if this is the primary defender, right, and he's on the top player, and he puts up these horrible stat lines game in, game out, I think it's got to be Dort, and that keeps happening.
Yeah, the best player getting stops, it's him.
Yeah, did it against Mitchell, yeah.
He takes on the best player every single night.
Brown, yep.
And this is the analogy I thought of earlier today, because I've watched a lot of their games recently. Again, Kobe White was absolutely on fire. He was averaging 29 points per game. Yeah. He took 5 shots the other night.
Yep.
Against Dort, and he scored 7 points. Did nothing in the game. I talked about this the Monday after it happened because it was the first round of the tournament. James Harden in the fourth quarter, tight game, back and forth. Dort was on him. As soon as he got past half court, he passes it to Kawhi and goes, "Okay, you're on. Caruso's on you. I want nothing to do with Dort." The analogy is this: Lou Dort this year has turned into. Throw out any cornerback that you want, Richard Sherman or Deion Sanders in his prime. Maybe the numbers weren't there overall for those guys, like in terms of INTs. Quarterbacks refused to throw at them because they would shut off one half of the football field. Players like White and James Harden, who were both guys playing exceptional basketball going into their games against OKC, they don't even want the challenge of going at them in these games. They're like, nope, we have to have a better option, because I'm probably not going to score against him right now. And if you watch the games, which is a huge key to this stuff, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. And it was so refreshing that Bill Simmons said that on his podcast, because he watches all these games and he goes to him and he goes, I watched James Harden say, "Are you freaking kidding me? This is a 2.5-hour nightmare. I want this to be over with right now. And what he did against guys like Jaylen Brown, Donovan Mitchell, others, it speaks for itself. So the Celtics, by the way, is this the definition of a Malinsky special? They're laying a huge number against the Heat. 9-game winning streak, which started with a 12-point win at Miami. 6 in a row on the road to close up the winning streak. Every game they won by double digits.
Yep, it is. And Brown, Porzingis, and Holiday are questionable. It's another one.
Wow.
Tough.
And by the way, they're so good on the road, which they just showed, and now they have to come back home for a team. Okay, college basketball up next with the Great Iron Eagle. The team with the best A game is who?
For just $9.99, VSiN's got you covered for March Mania with a VSiN Pro subscription. You'll get access to bracket breakdowns, daily expert picks, as well as our March Mania betting guide, exclusive to Pro subscribers. Go to VSiN.com/subscribe today to sign up for just $9.99. And don't forget to catch us on the go with the VSiN Watch app, or listen on SiriusXM Channel 158, and join us on the Sports Betting Network.
This is VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
This is Follow the Money on VSiN.
Good to have you on board. It is Follow the Money. We're live in downtown Las Vegas from the Circa Resort and Casino. Always a pleasure when we get a couple of minutes to talk to our next guest. The absolute best in the business, dynamite play-by-play man, Ian Eagle joins the program here, and he's on the progressive guest line. Ian, thank you as always. We appreciate it. Little did I know, though, also you could have like another business card that says professional lip reader. Great job by you.
Yes.
After Broom got injured on the broadcast.
Yeah, hidden talent. Don't go to dinner with me at like another table. I could break down your whole conversation and then share with my party. Like, no, they're breaking up. I know it. I just saw it.
I said sweep. So were you like legitimately stunned or surprised, or your overall reaction inside when you saw Broom come back into the game? Because that did not look good on Sunday.
No, and the funny part, the replay that we showed, the slow motion replay that was his leg, elbow, wrist, we all reacted in real time. We had not seen it. So you can hear on air in unison, me, Raph, Grant, at some point and some variation of, ooh, like that didn't look good. And for him to exit, for him to say to staff members and teammates, I'm done. I mean, I don't speculate on that stuff, but it was clear as day. If I was sitting at home, that's how I try to view these broadcasts. If I'm at home and I see something and the announcer doesn't mention it, that bothers me. I saw it. Did they not see it? So when something is so obvious to me, I had to verbalize it. He said it. He said, I'm done.
Yep.
His mom comes down out of the stands. You think, all right, well, that's it. They're going to have to try to go to the Final Four without Janai Broom. And then he comes running back out. Raph was talking about something else, and I see on the monitor him running back out. I jump in, and I just think he's going to join his teammates. That's my first thought is, oh, he's going to go sit on the bench, get dapped up. And he goes directly to the scorer's table to check in and had to wait until the first free throw took place. So, yeah, the Willis Reed thing was real. I think 1% of the audience got the reference eventually, but it felt like it. It had that kind of aura.
You did an excellent job, and I was with you, too. I couldn't believe he was coming back. Well, what does it mean now for the Final Four game, though? Because, yes, he hit the three, but he couldn't use the other arm, and he couldn't pass with that arm either.
Correct. Yeah, I mean, the one thing I know is it's a 6-day layoff. We'll have more information, obviously, once we're in San Antonio. Once you see him in public, you see what he can do. I think they're going to go full steam ahead, and they're preparing as if he's going to be there, and they certainly don't want to give Florida any kind of advantage by saying he's not. But it's a legitimate question. He, to me, looked limited even before that issue. He was flexing and rubbing and grabbing the elbow. It was a legitimate story developing, and now more so considering the impact that he has on this team and the production he has. This isn't just someone that, hey, occasionally puts up 15 points and 6 boards. He's averaging a double-double. He is the heart and soul of the team. He definitely is a leader for this team. They feed off him. They have great guard play. So I'm not discounting what they have around him, but he is the centerpiece.
Were you baffled, and your partners as well, that they weren't getting him the ball more? Because he went for 17 and 11 in the first half, and it was easy?
Yeah, we went to commercial, and Grant and Raph, their mics stay on, and my mic stays on, so we could talk to one another during the commercial. And they're both vociferous in their opinion that they're not going into Broom. They can't stop the guy. Why are they not continuing to go to that part of who they are? It was a little interesting. I think that they have a bit of a mentality that this is a collective group and they're bigger than one guy, and that's all great, and it served them very well. The thing that struck me just being around them for a few days, they're an incredibly loose group. We met with 5 of the players in the off day, Saturday, and they're joking around, laughing, a lot of sarcasm, busting one another. And then even their shoot-arounds, their practices, they're doing things that you don't normally see. Now, it works for them, The problem, as we know, is if you get into the heat of the battle and a serious moment, can you just flip it on, flip it off? So far, they've shown in this tournament they can.
Yeah, well said. Follow the money here on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network. Our guest, the great Ian Eagle. We were talking about this yesterday, and who knows, this might turn into the Duke Invitational because Cooper Flagg is so good, and it's not just, the surrounding parts are also exceptional on that team. But which team has the best A game? The simple answer, I think, might be Duke, but we kicked it around maybe Houston because their defense is so elite. Like, if they're hitting their threes, they might be the best team left in the field.
Yeah, normally when you have the best offense going against the best defense, what's your first thought? All right, something's got to give. Mm-hmm. Are we going to see Houston doing what they do best and they just lock down Duke and Duke runs into an opponent that they're just not ready for, that they get steamrolled and they can't get the kind of shots that they're accustomed to? They can't get into a float. That's what we saw at different parts. Obviously, the Tennessee game, they were just completely off their game. They were off balance the entire game. And even when they made the run, Houston answered right away and the thing was done. So we got the answer in that game. The issue to me is normally when you talk about defensive teams, you don't talk about their offense because their defense is so good and it's their stamp. Houston's offense is really good. They actually have 3 shooters above 40% from three-point territory. Uzan shoots it well. Cryer shoots it well. Sharp shoots it well. And it's not an anomaly. This is what they've done all year. Cryer's become a better shooter than the guy that we saw part of the national championship team with Baylor because he now will take tougher shots. I think he often would only take the obvious ones and anything that was close because he's a smaller guard. If they were contested, he would either pass on them or he didn't shoot it with confidence. Now he does. So the flip side is that Duke is really good defensively. They bought in with John Shire. He knew that part had to change from last year to this year. So it's not your typical best offense versus best defense. I think these teams are layered more than what the numbers would necessarily indicate.
Speaking of Duke, there's a prop regarding you offshore. Will Ian Eagle make an Aussie reference about Proctor during the broadcast? Yes is 2-1.
Good day, mate.
Okay, that's it. That would do it. Cash the ticket then, huh? Take the plus money. Well, can you sneak it in there?
I sneak it in. I could lead with it. Are you kidding me?
That's great.
This is going to be the easiest prop all time to cash.
Yeah.
In the open, when I say Raf, Grant, Tyrese Proctor from Australia, I just get it right.
That's it. Unbelievable. Oh, you're so good. So how about the other news? Now you're going to be working with J.J. Watt, and you do so many sports. I'm curious, how long does chemistry take? And, do you have a book or on other guys, a Raftery, or doing stuff with the Nets about this works, that doesn't? How long will this take to form a bond and chemistry with Watt?
Yeah, I think that there's sometimes this misunderstanding of chemistry. And by the way, it comes sometimes from network executives that say, you got to get 7 rehearsal games in, you got to do this, no. In my mind, no. Huh? It really is about the time you spend together around the weekend and then the comfort level that you have when you're on the air. You're on the air for 3 hours. My goal with whoever I work with is it's going to feel on the air what it feels like off the air, on the ride over to the game, the dinner the night before, the production meeting, when we sit down with the teams and coaches. All of that is part of it. It's not separate. And by the way, when we get on the air, we're going to do it like that. No, we do it the same, just like you guys. The relationship you have on the air is the relationship that you have off the air. To me, those are the best pairings. So I don't really subscribe to the, hey, let's knock out 7 rehearsal games and really get into the rhythm. I believe in just living life and getting to know one another and finding some commonality. JJ's a great guy. He's really smart. He has a tremendous sense of humor. He's into it. He's passionate about whatever he does. So to me, it's going to be a blast. I loved working with Charles. We did 5 years together. I was with Dan Fouts for 10 years before that. These are not just, hey, we're just getting together for the game. These become legitimate friendships, and that matters a lot.
That's amazing. truly amazing insight from Ian Eagle here in like 10 seconds. Raftery has to be better off the court, actually, than he is on the broadcast. I mean, that guy's amazing.
I just know too much. I've just been out with him way too much. I can't even begin to imagine how many dinners I've had with that man. I know we've probably done somewhere in the vicinity of 500 games. We may have had 1,200 dinners together. So think about that. Just think about the amount of time spent in that vein. It's incredible.
Yeah, it really is. You're the best. Love talking to you. Have a great call coming up on Saturday, then on Monday night. Thank you.
And I did the math. It's 8,800 drinks that Raph had over that time.
Yeah, man.
Okay, great. That's over because I had it at about 6,000, so very strong. Win some, lose some is coming up next. Pauly will recap last night's betting angles here on VSiN.
Got a good thing coming, so wait and see. It's a good.
Join Matt Brown and Mike Somich on Ready, Set, Bet as they get you ready to make your bets for all the weekend games.
We're going to be at the end of this thing with money guns, or I'm just going to be like, begging people for change out on Fremont Street.
It feels like the Twins and the Guardians have higher floors but lower ceilings.
Don't miss out on crucial advice for live betting once the game starts, as well as looking ahead to the upcoming action. Tune in to Ready, Set, Bet, weekends at 1 p.m. Eastern on VSiN, the sports betting network. last night?
Wow, winning.
Or was it a rough one?
Well, they can't all be winners, can they?
Loser! You're a loser! Pauly Howard recaps the night in sports betting in Win Some, Lose Some.
Fun props every day in Major League Baseball. Most strikeouts, King, 14-1. Only went 5 innings. He was great. Angels, most runs, 17-1. Highest scoring game, Angels-Cardinals. I think that was plus 850, I think. My mistake there. College hoops. UT Chattanooga does it again. They've been an underdog in every game in the NIT, and they're in the finals, and they're dogs again against Cal Irvine tomorrow, catching 3.5 as they beat Loyola. Villanova from 3 up to 5. Human said it was a fishy line. They covered no problem. 137.5 up to 147.5. A 3 at the buzzer put it on 149 as they win by 20. Cincinnati started the day from 7 up to 10 and 137.5 up to 146.5, and it fell 144. Joker, third 60-point triple-double in history. Suns Bucks over 220 up to 226. 133 up to 133 to 123. I believe the Bucks set a franchise record. Shot 69% for the game.
So their offense has been great here.
Yeah.
In the last couple of games.
And no Durant, you give up $123.
Yeah, right.
At home, yeah. Grimes went over again. Knicks, Sixers under, 223.5 down to 219. 105.91. Hockey, the Blues have won 10 in a row. They win in overtime. When did that person reach out to you?
I'd have to go back and check.
Someone put you on the Blues on futures?
Early to mid-March.
It was followed up by a 10-game winning streak.
I know.
Wow.
So he's got, I think, we're talking 300-400 to 1, something like that?
I believe it.
It's a monster number.
I believe it. Herrera, 6-1 for the Cardinals. Hit a home run. He hit 3. How about that? Subscribe, be part of the team. VSiN.com, our radio and podcast friends. You always want to see these tweets and videos. At Pauly Does Vegas on Instagram. Send them in. We'll put you on. I love this. Oh, look at this. According to numerous websites and the Hollywood Reporter, the David Fincher Once Upon a Time in Hollywood sequel starring Brad Pitt is real. I liked the first one with Tarantino. I didn't care for the ending. But no word on if DiCaprio will be in the second one. But I love Brad Pitt's character, and I like that movie. And Fincher on board with a great resume. I'm down.
It was a good movie. I'd ask this. Do we need another one?
Well, it depends what direction you go in. But that's...
So are they going to focus on Pitt completely? Because I did see that when they mentioned that it's in the works, they only mentioned it's in the works with Brad Pitt. To your point, no mention of DiCaprio.
Yeah.
So maybe it just, you're not going to have Robbie, or does Robbie just survive? Is this the weird ending that they have on it?
Yeah, you can't
because she lived in that movie?
Yeah. He's playing Tate and what, yeah.
Right.
Sure, his take on it, right. A Southern tradition reimagined at the Masters. The handheld tomato pie makes his limited debut at the Masters. And like everything else there, it's cheap.
I'm unfamiliar with this.
Yeah, as am I. But the pimento cheese is only like $1.50 for the sandwich.
So by pie, do you mean like this is a sweet pie, but with tomatoes, or is it a pizza and they're calling it a pie?
Well, it looks like a calzone.
Because I've seen pizzas like this. But
I can't tell how big it is based on that picture. Right?
Sure, that tells you that's like the size of a chicken wing.
Sure, absolutely. How about this for Win Some? In July, a Nevada judge approved items to be sold from O.J. Simpson's estate to be paid to the Goldman family to pay off the civil suit. Last week, a ton of items were up for sale and purchased and bid on. $23,000 for his driver's license in 1983? Some of the stuff is baffling. Wow. But the big one, the day after the Bronco chase, Robert Kardashian gave him a Bible and signed it over to him. And it went for $80,000. Kim Kardashian tried to put a stop to it and said, let me have that for $15,000. The guy said, get out of here. Go pound sand. It's how about $150? It's going to go for a lot more than that. And she backed off, and then the thing went for $80,000. It's inscribed from Robert Kardashian to OJ, and it was given to him the day after the Bronco chase. It went for $80,000. Some of this stuff, like a replica Heisman went for $40,000. All this stuff.
$23,000 for the driver's license?
For a driver's license. It expired in 1983.
Oh, man. Okay.
Yeah, isn't that something? Sure. Lose some. Central Florida from 1 up to 6. And the over, 156.5 up to 160. They won 76-75. USC Tulane over, 149.5 up to 159. 89-60. Want to lose some video? There's a dog compilation here. This is dogs trying to get in. Oh no, he's taking the food right off the table, jumping up. Oh, he caught red-handed. Okay, it's a compilation, and then this guy freaks out. He's jumping up, and he gets caught. It's a great compilation of dogs. This guy gets scared too, taking food off the table, over and over. And then it's when they you didn't know the human was behind me. And they always freak out.
This one's good here.
Yeah. He's jumping on his buddy's back and getting the lift. Two of them. To go up there. Oh, I didn't see the other guy. Yeah. Oh, this is incredible. Going back. A great compilation of dogs getting caught. Hey, what happened to the eggs? Huh? They were on the table. What? Oh, eggs? Okay, he's got it in his mouth. Oh, that's awesome. Thanks to everyone who send these in all the time on Instagram. Dogs getting caught grabbing food. Couple bad beats. Yankees in under 4-2 in the 8th. The bullpen blows it. And Villanova, Colorado under 148.5 if you came in at the end. 7 points scored in the final 14 seconds. It lands 149 on a 3-point shot at the buzzer. Put your skills to the test in the Hoops and Horses Pick'em Challenge. Brought to you by our friends at First Bet. Sign up for free play at VSiN.com/hoops and horses. Make your picks for Saturday's marquee horse races and basketball matchups. Top picks get a free voucher at First Bet to bet the upcoming races, including the Derby on May 3rd. From the hardwood to the home stretch, play now. VSiN.com/hoops and horses. VSiN.com/hoops and horses.
I'll give you this. The race today for most Ks by any starting pitcher in Major League Baseball, it's been a good race so far. Your current leader, Cole Reagans, with 10. I would imagine that he was a small number to have the most Ks today. Sonny Gray had 9 through 6. Then I think that's when he gave up the grand slam. He didn't have another one. Peralta went deep again today. What is this? He's going to win the Cy Young the year that I don't bet the guy? That's back-to-back really good starts by him. He had 8. Hunter Green had 8 again. Skeens below the K prop today. Only had 6, but he was really good anyway.
Yeah, needed a win. Yeah, I thought for sure the bullpen would blow it. Boy, they've been a disappointment. Yep.
Leiter 6 and Kikuchi 6 as well. But Kikuchi again, man, you got to somehow you got to have Mattress Mac fly in one of his beautiful mattresses for you to get that 13 hours of sleep. He had 5 walks today.
Yep.
Come on, man. What the hell's that?
6-2 Cubs in the 4th.
Rooker with another home run.
Yep. Yeah, and Skubal got touched up in the 2nd. 2-0 Mariners in the 4th. Valdez has nothing. 5-1 Giants in the 2nd. Giants all over him. 2 in the first, 3 in the 2nd, and the Mets have already pushed 1 across against the Marlins. So batting in the 1st inning. And the Brewers walked it off, too. I don't know if you mentioned 3-2 Brewers final and extras.
I did not mention that.
Okay.
No.
A lot of day games.
Are you concerned about the Astros at this point?
Well, they did this last year. But
also,
I did like Texas going into the season. But it certainly helps them out that it appears Seattle's a disaster.
Also, no more Bregman.
Uh-huh.
So there's one, mainstay who is no longer with the team, who's been pretty much automatic for the last, 7-8 years in that lineup. The pitching, getting a little bit older. I know that some of the younger guys they're going to try and are kind of improving at this point. Might not be automatic that this team's going to, be there at the end in that division. A's are struggling big time. This series against the Cubs is not going well.
No. The Cubs just might be that good, though, too. They just throw out what happened against the Dodgers. They can hit. Ooh, their offensive numbers are ridiculous so far.
Okay, so then are you buying into the Padres at all? They're underway.
Yeah, I mean, what the bullpen's done is crazy. This is fantastic for baseball. It's only the 3rd time since 1969 that you've had a team start 7-0 and 6-0 in the same division, and what they've done, and what the bullpen is doing is ridiculous too. For I guess everyone involved. Not only 3 shutouts in the first 6 games, but you've only allowed 9 runs on the season, and the Pens only allowed 1 run in 24 innings.
Pretty good combination there of solid starting pitching, and then when they turn it over to the bullpen, it gets even more difficult to get hits and get guys on base and even scratch across some runs. So,
I think hitting's contagious, but on the flip side, if you're catching teams at the right time, like they got Atlanta at the right time, which you give them credit too, but Atlanta can't hit right now, and Cleveland's in a funk too. Cleveland's hitting 161 with runners in scoring position. Yeah. So, it's a great job by San Diego, but certainly their opponents have just been laughable what they're doing with these.
And based on that pitching matchup today, Cease going against Lively, I'm not surprised that the Padres took even more money. I mean, right? I mean, it's It's either him or King, the ace of that staff, and Cease has 3 scoreless so far today, but the Padres are getting no help for him offensively as we speak. Yeah, of course. Begin the show. Skubal, probably not going to, I don't trust this Mariners team. Right away in the second inning, they get 2 runs off him.
Yep.
But that's been pretty much it.
Yep, by Castillo last time out, he lost, and now he probably throws a gem against Detroit.
Yeah. All right, it's Follow the Money here on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network. Up next, we are watching 2 of the biggest busts at the top of the draft in recent memory. Do you concur? Next. And we're out.
Okay, give me 1 sec. I need to load funds into my gaming apps.
Stormy, really,